Hello and welcome back to Literally Heinous. I'm so excited for this episode. I've been waiting to record this for like 7 months, and I'm now ready to talk about it. Or like, it's not that I'm like ready to talk about it, but like it was a good time for me to record this episode finally. So I went on a game show last year. So crazy. So obviously, like if you pretty much everyone knows this about me. This is like my entire personality. Was going on this freaking game show. So I was on We Are Family on Fox, which is a new celebrity guessing game show on Fox cable network. About it was kind of like a mix of like The Masked Singer and Claim to Fame, which is that Jonas Brothers family guessing show where the premise is that um there's a non-famous relative of a celebrity. So like sister, brother, like aunt, something like that. And they'll sing a song and then do a duet with their like hidden famous family member. And then there's clues on the screen and you have to guess who the celebrity is. So that's the premise of the show. I was on all of season one. There were 100 contestants on each episode, and I was on every episode of season one. And we filmed in Atlanta from September. I was in Atlanta from like September 20th, September 21st, I think, until like October 8th. It was the best experience of my life. Like it was totally life-changing, totally necessary, and like really was just it like it was incredible. Like it saved me, which is so dramatic, but like it was something that I am so grateful for and something that I love to talk about, but I also don't like bringing it up kind of when I'm with people that don't know about it or when I'm meeting new people. I usually like try not to bring it up because I'm like I don't want to. I always get such a reaction which I don't really like. But I love to talk about it. And I want to talk about my experience going on it, what I learned about myself. Like it was really formative and it was just all around really fucking fun. So, taking you back in time to early August. So, August 2023, this past August, I had just had to move out of my house in Detroit. So, I was living with my best friend Zoe in my favorite place I've ever lived in my entire life. We lived in this really old, like, Victorian home in this beautiful historic neighborhood of Detroit. We lived on like the top floor of a duplex. Like I fucking loved this house that we lived in. It was unreal. We had this balcony and we had just signed up. We were getting ready to extend our lease for like another 6 months. And our landlords were this like the nicest couple and they're like late 30s or 40s, just like a really nice couple, like best landlords I've ever had. My dad has been my landlord. No offense, dad, but I loved them. And I was kind of like getting ready to move to New York. It was something that Jack and I had been talking about for a couple months, something that like I really wanted to do for the last year. I knew I didn't want to stay in Detroit that long. So me and Zoe and then Jack, like we all like re-signed our leases for another 6 months. And Zoe and I were about to, but we hadn't done it yet. And then all of a sudden, like we find out that the landlord, the man, passed away like unexpectedly and really suddenly. And we were like heartbroken for her. Like we didn't know what happened. And she basically called us and just said, like, I can't have the house without him. Like, I'm selling the house. You guys like have to leave by August. And so that like sucked and like really threw a wrench in our plans. So then I still wanted to move to New York by the end of the year. And I ended up moving into Jack's studio apartment in August in Detroit. So we were going to do that for like, and then I was thinking like, okay, well, I'm not going to, we can't share a studio for like more than 2 months. I don't know. So we were like, okay, maybe we'll move to New York in October. And I'm in Jack's place. We're sharing the studio. It was fine. Like it was good, but I was just really in this like rut emotionally. And I was excited to stay in our place for like another 6 months. I loved that apartment. I was excited to stay and like, have a last like 6 months in Detroit and like really get my affairs in order and just like really like finish out that chapter of my life strong. And then when I had to move into Jack's studio, which like I liked his apartment, but I like sharing a studio fucking sucked. Like it was hard and like it wasn't fun. And then I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm gonna have to move to New York now. And it just felt weird. And I just remember feeling in this place, like just in this rut that like dog days of summer, late summer, like everything was hard. And early August, it was on a Sunday. I was just in the studio apartment alone on Instagram. and I get an ad, like an Instagram story. Like when I'm tapping through stories, I see something like, "Do you like celebrities? Do you like trivia? Apply to be on a pop culture game show." And I'm like, "Oh, interesting." So I click the link and I'm looking at it. There's not many details. And then I'm like, whatever. I was literally doing nothing. Like I was so bored on this Sunday. So I start filling out the application and it's pretty basic questions like, where do you live? And I remember saying, oh, like maybe they'll like me better if I live in New York. And like I'm moving there in 2 months. So maybe I'll just say that. So I remember putting down New York and it was like, what kind of pop culture do you like? And it was fun questions like that. So I had a good time applying. And then I had to record like a video, like a selfie video of you talking about who you are and how competitive you are. And I was like, oh, I'm not doing that. That's so cringe. And I was about to click out of it and just forget about it. But I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Like, I'm not doing anything. Like, I'm just not going to try that hard on this video. So I just recorded this video of myself, just literally so ugly. Like, I don't even know what I said. It's so embarrassing. But I submit the application and completely forget about it. And then the next day I'm working and I get a call from an unknown number and I answer it, which I never normally do. So I answered it and it was a casting producer from the game show. And I was like, whoa. I mean, I thought it was a scam at first. I feel like getting called back too soon after applying to something is always a red flag. So I talked to this guy for like 30 minutes and we kind of just chat about like life. And he lives in LA and West Hollywood. And we just talk about that. And he tells me a little bit about the show, but like does not give me any details. He tells me what it's called, like We Are Family, and tells me, it's like singing guessing show. I'm like, okay, like sure. And he said we're gonna be filming in Atlanta from like in September/October for about like 18 days. You'll need to be there. Can you do that? And I'm like, I guess maybe. So I tell him like I'm still interested, and then the next day he sets me up with another call. Um, And so I'm going through the casting process because I'm kind of just like, let's just see what this is about. Like, this is a cool, interesting thing. So the next day I had a call with him where we had to do a quiz on pop culture. And it was so fun. Like, this guy and I had already bonded. I really liked him. So we do this quiz on pop culture and he asked me like 50 questions and they were pretty basic. They were like, um, I don't know. I'm trying to think. One of them was like, what Euphoria star was on Dancing with the Stars? So like Zendaya. I actually didn't get that one because for some reason, like I placed you like having Euphoria come before Dancing with the Stars. I thought that like it was Euphoria and then Dancing with the Stars, and then when you said Zendaya, I was like, oh shit, like duh. And then like what artist won the Grammy, like best new artist, best album, whatever. That was Billie Eilish. I did get that one. Another one was like what actress famously like stole a bunch of stuff from a Saks, like Winona Ryder. Another one was, and this one was funny because on the application, there was one question that said, what's your favorite celebrity trivia or like random celebrity fun fact? And I said, Ryan Reynolds was engaged to Alanis Morissette, which is so crazy to me because they seem so like different era of celebrities to me. And I always like telling people that. And then on this quiz, one of the questions was, who was Ryan Reynolds engaged to in the 90s? And I was like, Alanis Morissette. Like, that's my fun fact. So that was cool. And the quiz was really fun. And I remember him telling me I did really well. So that was exciting. And then what since ensued after that was like once a week having a different like application or different like interview type thing. And he would call me and I was always like waiting with bated breath when he would call me to like tell me I got moved on to the next round. Like one round after that was a screen test. This was the worst one. It was me talking to this guy. He was wearing a tank top and he reminded me of from Broad City, like Abby's boyfriend slash boss from Solstice. He reminded me of that guy. And we had to do the screen test and it was basically like he would ask me questions about myself, but I would have to answer them in a way that was like TV friendly because he was going to make a reel about me, not like an Instagram reel, but like a for people not in the industry. Like a reel is kind of like a tape compilation of one person to like show you like who they are, whatever. So he was going to make a reel about me so that producers at Fox could like watch it and see if I'd be a good fit. And I would answer the questions and then every time I'd answer them, he'd be like, okay, give me more, give me more. And I'm like, oh my God. And I remember thinking like, this is the most embarrassing thing I've ever done in my life. I can't do this. Like, I don't I'm a pretty enthusiastic and outgoing person, but like I had to like say things about myself that just like were not true, or like, like I'm Lily and like I know more about pop culture than anyone in the world. And I'm like, well, that's just not true. And then they were really gung ho on like the competitive aspect, and they wanted people that were like, I'm a fierce competitor and no one can get in my way. And that's just like not who I am. I'm well, I've always said like I'm really not a competitive person, but it's actually like not true. Like if you've played catchphrase with me, or like pretty much any, like I can get kind of competitive, but I don't believe that I'm the smartest person in the world. I don't think that I'm like the best. Like I don't think I'm the best at like anything. And it was weird doing that, and I would like bring dial it up more, and I was just like, I don't know about this. Like if this is what a TV show is like where they're making me like, really talk, like I don't think I can do it. And you have to keep in mind at this point, like I do not know anything about this TV show. I knew what it was called. I Googled it. I knew that Jamie Foxx was hosting it, or so I thought. And I knew that it was about like families, but I didn't know if how like was I going to be on every episode? How many contestants were there? I thought there'd be like six, and I was like one of six contestants. I'm like, how much am I going to be talking? And at that point, I was like, I don't know if I want to. I wanted the experience, and I was enjoying the casting process. Like the casting process was genuinely fun for me, and it was exciting. But I really didn't have interest in like being on TV and like having a lot of speaking roles. Like I didn't that the thought of talking on TV really like gave me anxiety. And it was one of the reasons I didn't want to do it, was like because I'm such a loose cannon as it is. I did not want to say anything that was like stupid, which is ironic because like everything I said on the show was stupid. I didn't want to say anything that would like subject me to like humiliation online, or like make me sound dumb or reflect poorly on my job. I'm like pretty easy to find online. Like my name is pretty unique. So like I didn't want people looking me. I don't want to be like doxxed. I just had so many like thoughts going through my head, and I was like, I don't know. I don't think I want to do this. Like I want to be on the show for the experience, but like I didn't want to be like a star or whatever. But, I kept going. And then the next few weeks after that, like there was one point I had to meet with producers, and this was all through Zoom, by the way. And I had to do another like mini quiz with them that was more like in the style of the show. So they said they're going to give me, they're thinking of a celebrity, they're going to give me 5 clues. Each clue gets progressively easier. So if I don't know it, like I can get another clue, but like guess as soon as I know it. So the first one, I was talking to producers, they were all like British, which was kind of weird. And okay, this is another funny thing. So in Jack's studio apartment, it was all exposed brick. Like his studio was 75% brick wall. And so I would, for my Zoom videos, because we were both working from home like half the week, I would flip my desk around completely so that like my background was just a brick wall. Because prior to that, like, I'd have my desk like facing the wall. And then with the studio, it was so hard to do video interviews because like studios, you see everything in the background. So if there's one like shirt laying around, your place automatically looks messy. So I would just have to like flip my desk around. And it was kind of this whole song and dance, but Jack was like so sweet about it. Like every time he knew I had an interview, he would flip my desk around and like mirror my whole office to like set it up the same way, but like backwards. He would do that for me every time without me having to ask, which was so nice because I was always so stressed out about these interviews. And like, I'd be like, oh, and now I have to flip my desk around. But then I'd look and then you already did it. So like, thanks, Jack. So when I had the exposed break in the background, every single producer lost their minds about it. It was so weird. I talked to maybe like 10 people or something throughout this whole process, and especially the British people. Like I was on a call with like 5 British people, and they were all like, oh my God, is that exposed brick? And I'm like, oh yeah. And they're like, oh my God, we just do not have that in the UK. Like that is just, it's so American. It's just so American. I'm like, oh yeah, like I'm in Detroit. They're like, oh my God, Detroit, that's so American. And then we'd be talking about like what I do for work, and I'd be like, yeah, like I work for a car company. And they'd be like, oh my God, it's so American with your exposed brick. Like it's just so beautiful, so American. I'm like, okay. So like that was fun. That's like the calls were like fun for me because they were just so ridiculous. And it was just a fun break in the day. So for this one, the one call that I did with like five Brits when they were all obsessed with the exposed brick, the one of the celebrity questions, the first one was like, she was born in Santa Barbara. I'm like, I don't know. Then another one was like, I don't remember what the second one was, but I couldn't get it off the second one. And then the third one was like, she was married to comedian Russell Brand. And I was like, oh, Katy Perry. So that one I got. Another one was like, this person was born in Reading, Pennsylvania. And I'm like, Taylor Swift, duh. Um, and then they asked me another one. Oh my God, this one. Okay. So it was like, I don't remember this celebrity I did not get even after the fifth clue. And like, one of them was like, he's a stand-up guy from Texas. That was the first one. I'm like, oh God, like Matthew McConaughey. I don't know. And then it would like they'd keep getting easier, but I just did not know them. One of them was like, every he's electrifying your screen in living color. And I was like, I don't know. And then it was Jamie Foxx. And I was like, oh shit. And I did feel kind of, I felt bad because, Jamie Foxx's name was attached to this show. Like the only thing I knew about this show is that it was Fox with Jamie Foxx. And I was like, oh, I didn't get that. And my dad, when I called him after, was like, how'd you not know that? And I just like didn't have a ton of allegiance to Jamie Foxx. Like all I knew about him, like I didn't know, like I hadn't seen a lot of his stuff before. Like obviously like, it's Jamie Foxx, who's an A-lister, but I just didn't know much about him. So then the next week, I don't remember like all of these, but it was pretty much like every week or every other week, like I had some sort of a different interview. And then the date is approaching. So I knew that I'd have to be in Atlanta by September 21st. And now it was like or like early September and I still didn't know anything. And it was getting really hard because like I couldn't plan much because I remember I was like doing yoga at the time and I needed to get like renew my month-long membership at this yoga place. I'm like, okay, well, I don't want to get a month-long membership if like I'm not going to be here. And it was stuff like that was kind of stressful. And then I have to do like a story interview at one point where I'm meeting with a producer to like mine my story and my background because they want to make the contestants, when you watch a game show, usually like contestants have like a background and they have like wants and like why do they want the money? Like what's their specialty? So we were mining that and I'm thinking like, why are we doing this if like we still don't know if I'm going to be a contestant or not? So basically like what they said is they're still moving everyone through the process. Like they hadn't made final decisions and they want to move us through the process like as if we're going to be cast. So like if we do get cast, like they won't have to like scramble. And my story call was awesome. Like the producer I had for that was so fun. We talked for like an hour and a half and the questions were really fun. It was like, who are your favorite childhood celebrities? Like who's your celebrity crush? Like who's like stuff like that. Some of it was like really good questions that I was like, oh my God, like I've never thought about this. And then that was fun. And then like throughout the week, I'm getting contacted about like traveling. Like what airport do you fly in and out of? Like what's your like pre-check number? And I'm like, okay, like am I going? Like I don't know. So then about a week before, or maybe it was like 10 days before, on a Friday afternoon, I get an email from Fox that sent me a contract that was like, this is the contract for being on the game show. It's binding if you get cast and it's void if you don't get cast. And they wanted it signed by Monday. And it was a Friday afternoon. And I work in PR, okay? You can't trick the trickster. Like I know all about the like sending stuff on a Friday, okay? So I get the contract on a Friday afternoon. I really hadn't told anyone. Like I'd obviously told like my boyfriend because we were living together and like my parents and like my best friend who I had just moved out with. But like and also like I didn't think I was going to get it. I didn't think I'd make it this far. And then I had to sign this contract that was going to have me in Atlanta for 18 days. And I knew that they told me ahead of time, they were like, we will film for 6 days, 6 weekdays, like a Monday, Wednesday, Friday for 2 weeks. And then there will be like a wardrobe day and a dress rehearsal day. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to need to take 7 days off work, be in Atlanta for 18 days. Like, and if I get this, like, I'm going to be on TV. Like, I have to let my boss know what I'm doing. And that weekend was really hard. Like I remember just really wrestling with that and just really thinking like, do I want this? Like this is kind of weird. And I made a pros and cons list. And I went to bed on like that Friday night just thinking like I'm going to turn it down. Like I'm not going to do it. This is too weird. Like I and also at this point I'd looked up like I was able to find on IMDb that like there was 100 contestants. And that like kind of weirded me out more and that caused me a lot of like cognitive dissonance because originally my biggest fear was like talking too much or like being on screen too much. Like I didn't like that. But then when I found out it was 100 contestants, I was like, wait, I don't know if I like that more or if I if I like that less. Because like if it's 100 contestants, are we just going to be like sheep? Like what do we? Am I just an audience member at that point? It just felt weird to me, and there was so much unknown, and like I was dreading like telling my boss and like asking him, and like I didn't I didn't want to come off as like unserious at work and like I didn't know if this would make me look bad professionally. And then Jack and I were like trying to move to New York in October, so I'm like, okay, well, should I just like focus on moving? And then I just decided to ask my boss. So Monday, I just called him and just said like I might have this opportunity to do this cool thing. I will be fine either way. Like, if you don't want me to do it and you think it's too weird, I'm totally fine with that. Like, if you want me to do it, then I'll move forward and sign this contract. And I meant every word of that. Like, I truly, like, put the ball in his court and I was like, you can tell me I'm fine either way. I really didn't think I'd make it this far in the casting process. Like, and I was like, and I kind of need to sign this contract like by Tuesday because I was able to get an extension. And he called his boss, immediately called me back, and they were both like, you have to do it, like, please do it. And then that's when I was like, okay, like, they want me to do it. They were really enthusiastic about it. Like, I thought, this is, oh my God, I am so like dramatic, and I don't know if it's like self-centered or whatever, but like, I was like, oh, like, this is gonna have to go up to the CEO, and like this is just, it's so out of my hands. Like it's going to take forever for them to make a decision. Like it was like a 5-minute process. Like I asked my boss and then he was like, okay, let me call my boss, and calls his boss, immediately calls me back. I was like, yeah, you should go. Like just buy us lunch with whatever you win. And I was like, okay. So then I had my cousin look over the contract too, because that contract was so scary. It was like 20 pages long. I read it, but like it was confusing. Um, and just so weird. So I signed the contract and then another week goes by. I don't remember if I have another call or anything, but then like a week before I was supposed to leave. So like September 15th on like an evening, I get a call from like my original producer, the one that was like leading me through this whole process, and just said like, we want to have you in Atlanta. Like we're flying you out in a week. And I was so excited. I was like, oh my God. Like I was so happy once I got it. Um, and then I was like scrambling. So for the outfits, I knew. Okay, my first thought, like when I first started having the conversations about the show, was like, what am I gonna wear? That was literally the first thing that I thought. And I knew that I wanted to go for like, I knew I wanted to be covered from head to toe. I did not want to show any skin, like at all. I really just didn't want to be self conscious. I didn't want to feel like I was revealing too much. So I had to send them 6 outfits ahead of time. And I had to do this like before I found out I got it. It was like that same weekend when I was like wrestling if I was going to do it. So I did Newly, like I rented my clothing subscription, and I knew that my favorite was this black dress that my dad bought me. Thank you, Dad, when we went shopping together last year in Atlanta. I got this dress and from COS, this like really cute store. And I love this dress. It's like square neck. And the material's really thick and it has like boning in it. So it's a little bit like corset style and it's long. And I'd worn it a couple times and I've always loved that dress and just associated like the birth of Literally Heinous with that dress. So I knew that I wanted to wear that dress on the game show because I was going for like a dark academia route. Like when I pictured what I was going to wear for the show, I knew that I wanted to layer. So like a long shirt, a collared shirt with like another shirt or another dress over it. I wanted to do that kind of like academic vibe. So that was my favorite. And I rented the undershirt for that. And then I rented like another dress that put that same undershirt under. And then a couple other things. But like that dress was always my favorite, like that combo. So I sent that to wardrobe. I sent them 6 options. I also had to send them like pictures of tattoos and like all this crazy stuff. And then wardrobe sent me back that their favorites were my 2 favorites, which was like the dress that I ended up wearing and then this other dress. Okay, so I fly out to Atlanta on a Wednesday. It was like Wednesday afternoon, and I was so excited. Like I was so giddy. I did check a bag. Like I had a big bag that I checked and like a couple carry-ons. So I land in Atlanta and I go to the hotel, and it immediately felt like summer camp because like when I checked into the hotel, like I could already see people like outside through the and like in the courtyard hanging out. We were in this area of Atlanta that I'd never even heard of before, and I'm from Atlanta, called Lithia Springs. It was not necessarily like the cutest area. It wasn't like dangerous or anything, but it was just like a town that's like a road trip town that like you would only go through if you're like driving through something. It was off this like massive road. Like it was literally off this like highway that was like horrifying to drive on. And then it was like off this little road called Bob Arnold Boulevard, whereas Taylor and I called it Barnold. um, and we stayed at like a Marriott Courtyard. Like the hotel was nice. I honestly had no issues with the accommodations. So I like already see people hanging out, and then I get my room key, and then I go up to my room and put my bags on. I'm like, oh my God. Like I was just running on pure adrenaline. Like I couldn't believe that I was there. And I set my bags down. I'm like, okay, well, time to go make some friends, I guess, right? I mean, like, I couldn't just sit in my room. So I just went, called the elevator to go down. The elevator door opens, and there's Taylor. So there's one girl in the elevator. She has like bleach blonde hair and like like a racing jacket. And we say hi, and I'm like thinking like I wonder if she's on the game show, but like I'm scared to ask because like I know we weren't really supposed to talk about it. Like I didn't want to like tell a stranger what I was doing. And we like say something to each other, and I'm like whispering, I'm like, "Are you on the game show?" And she's like, "Are you on the game show?" And then we like hold hands and like start jumping up and down and screaming. And so that was like how I met like my BFF, which was so crazy. Like she was the first person that I met at the game show. Um, and we go out to the courtyard, like immediately sit next to each other and start talking. And I noticed that on her racing jacket is the GM logo, like the company that I work for, which was so weird. I was like, oh my God, like that's my company on your jacket. It was really weird. So we spend like honestly that whole night, like there's a bunch of people in the courtyard. Like it was kind of a party already. Like people were smoking and drinking. And I was like, how does everyone already know each other? It literally felt like summer camp. Like I can't describe to you how many visceral flashbacks I had to camp. Like it was weird. I was feeling like feelings I hadn't felt since camp, like accessing like neurons in my brain that hadn't been activated since summer camp. And everyone was so nice. Like you would just kind of go up to people and talk to them and just, talk about where they're from and like what they do for work and what their casting experience was. And that was when I realized that I had some fuck ass casting experience because I was like, I'm convinced that I barely got casted. Like my tail was barely under the door. Like I was contestant number 100. Everyone that I met had, like, when I told people that I applied 6 weeks ago, they were like, are you kidding? Like, I applied 2 years ago. Like, a lot of people applied 2 years ago, 1 year ago. The closest to me I could find was someone that applied 6 months ago. And I was like, I do not know how I got in, considering some people, like, they were on the hook for like I think there were people on the hook for like 3 years, which is crazy. Um, so that was interesting, like talking to people and like their different casting experiences. And like everyone had like kind of different interviews and would do interviews at different times. And like the timing of the show changed so much. Like it was, I don't know what the original time was. I know like the time before this, it was supposed to be in June and then they pushed it to this. So I don't know. But the first night was awesome. Like Taylor and I hung out all night and then we made some friends. Like I remember just like standing in the hotel lobby talking to like new friends and Taylor and just being like, this is crazy. Like, just so crazy to me. And it was really just like, I don't know. It was just such a great experience. And then I go up to bed and I'm like giddy. And then the next day is wardrobe fitting. So this is a Thursday and everyone had different call times for wardrobe fittings. And mine was at 11:30. So we had to bring our two outfits or however many outfits that production picked for us. We had to bring them to the studio and bring like come I don't know if we had to like do our hair and makeup that day. I don't think so. And so, yeah, that was basically like our wardrobe fitting. So then I'm sitting in the lobby with, people, and it was like a fresh batch of people. I was like, how many more people are there? This is crazy. So I'm sitting in the lobby waiting to be picked up. And I'm talking to a bunch of people there. And it's so crazy looking back now because I became so close with them. But like it was all our first time meeting each other. And we take this minivan. There was like six of us in the car. And my car group was stacked for that. Like it was so fun. It was just like a really good group. And then we get to the studio. It wasn't, I don't even know if I'd call it a studio, but it was like I don't know what to refer to it as. Like it was not like it was in a lot, like a studio lot, and it was just this like warehouse thing, but like it was pretty cool and we couldn't bring our phones in obviously. But there was like this huge like this warehouse and like above like on the top floor, I think there was like a bunch of props, like a bunch of chairs. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. And then it was just this very empty, like cold area. And then we meet with wardrobe and we give them our two outfits and like we try them on for wardrobe and then the stylist pick. And this was the highlight of WAF for me is wardrobe said that my outfit was their favorite. Sorry to anyone from WAF that's listening, but that's what they told me. And that was very validating for me because I put that outfit together and like I was really proud of it. They would call me sexy Amish girl, so that was cute. So yeah, we did that and then I remember we did like a mini practice round with like one of the producers and where we had to like just basically practice the act of like guessing a celebrity and giving our why. So like when you would guess a celebrity, you would have to like give your why. You couldn't just say like I think it's Channing Tatum. You'd have to say like I think it's Channing Tatum because um we didn't even know how the game worked at this point. But Logan, shout out to Logan, he was in my wardrobe crew, I think, but he was there with us. And like, I remember his was so good and I was so intimidated by him. Logan was the one with the mullet and the overalls, if you remember him. He's the best. He was so good at this practice round. And like, his why, he was like, oh yeah, I think it's ZZ Top because I'm a construction worker or like a contractor and I spend all day like listening to rock and roll and I would know that voice when I hear it. And I was like, damn, he's really good. And that was kind of stressful. So after wardrobe, we go like our group goes back to the hotel. And I end up like I still had to do some work because I was like kind of like working while I was there. Like I told my boss I'd be gone like Wednesday, Thursday, Monday, Wednesday, Friday of both weeks for filming. And then that day I had to like last minute say like, oh my God, like I'm sorry, like I got called for wardrobe, like I might be out for a couple hours. It was really stressful. So I ended up having to work and then Taylor and I got dinner with like two new friends and then that was really fun. And we kind of had like an earlier night that night. So then Friday was like our big rehearsal day. So I thought that I'd like met pretty much. It's so weird because you think that you know everyone at that point, but like really I'd probably only met like 20 people. And Taylor and I had already like pretty much become best friends at this point and established that we were each other's home bases, which was so necessary. Like it was nice to have her because we just got so close so quick, had so much in common, and we just established that we would be each other's home base. So Friday was a hard day. So this was like the last day before we started filming that following Monday. So at this point, like the adrenaline has kind of worn off. Like I'd been there for about 48 hours at this point. Like I got the lay of the land. I like thought that like all my friends, like I've made all my friends and like I'm not gonna like meet anyone else because like I've already made all my friends, which is so ridiculous. So we go, then everyone goes to the studio. And then that's when I see like, oh shit, like there's a lot of us because there was 100 contestants, but we also had like 25 alternates there too. So there's like 125 people, producers, and that was when I realized like the gravity of the situation. And I think I got really comfortable in like meeting people in small groups, like just hanging out the hotel lobby and then like going to wardrobe and like meeting my little pockets of people. And then when I saw like how many of us there were, I like kind of freaked out a little bit. So then we have a speech from legal. And this was really scary because Fox Broadcasting legal team came in and basically like reviewed our contract with us and talked about like the NDA and how serious it was if we broke it. And I'm kind of like, I mean, I had to tell my work because I couldn't just say to them like I'm leaving for 18 days. Like I just there's no way I could do that. And like I work for like a major company. I needed to get their approval for me to be a spokesperson or not a spokesperson, but like I needed to get their approval like if I'm going to go on TV, like people could find out where I worked, like is that okay? And then I needed to clear like what my job title was because we are family, like they wanted to give us all job titles and for mine they said PR representative, which I was good with, and I needed to clear that with my boss. And then, yeah, it was just like kind of scary, like talking about, and they were like, under no circumstances, like you cannot discuss this show, like any celebrities. I'm like, okay, like noted, like I am keeping my big fat mouth shut. And it was just kind of scary. And then we had the game masters come in and talk about the rules of the game. But at this point, like, I didn't know how the game worked. And nobody knew. And it was interesting talking to people. This is like the whole like game show, like none of us having our phones really lended itself to like so much like gossip and rumors and like people sharing information. And so there were a lot of rumors about how the show would work and like people would like have different information. And some people were like, "Oh, I don't think Jamie's on the show. Like Jamie's not going to be hosting." And I was like, "What do you mean? Like it's online." So we have the game masters come in and talk about how the show works. And it was so intense. Like I remember being so confused by the rules and like the examples of the caliber of celebrities that were there were like not who I thought it would be. And I didn't know that like the actual celebrities would be there until this point really. Like I thought it was like a celebrity guessing game show, like it could be any celebrity. Like I didn't know this like celebrities would actually be coming out on the show. And so once I realized that, I was like, oh, so like we're not gonna get like Ariana Grande, Dua Lipa as answers. Like it's gonna be the kinds of celebrities that like have time and are able to come on like a cable guessing show. And at this point, this is when like Taylor and I look at each other and we realize like, okay, so we're here for fun. That was, yeah, like I was at that point, I was like, okay, I'm here for fun. And then talking about like the star player round and how that works, I was like, there is no way in hell that I will be a star player. And that was fine with me. I was like, you know what? Like, and once I saw, I was like, there's just, I realized, I'm not going to make a ton of money on this. If anything, I'm not going to be a star player. Probably not going to get a lot. Probably not going to get called on. Like, I'm here for fun. And then we get the announcement. They're like, are you guys ready to learn who your host is? When they said that, I'm like, huh? Learn? And then we find out that it's Anthony Anderson from Blackish. And at the time, I did not know who Anthony Anderson was, unfortunately. And I didn't have my phone, so I couldn't Google him. And like I was like, woo, but I was down bad. So I kind of like had a moment after this. So we were really like inundated with information on that Friday, like a big fat speech from legal, like a scary speech from legal about like not telling anyone anything about this show. And then the rules were confusing and the host wasn't who I thought it was. And then being around other people, like, because I'd made my friends at that point, and I really liked my friends that I'd made so far. And then being around other people and seeing like how much better they were than me and how much smarter they were and like what they'd studied and like they applied to be on this show, however many months ago or years ago. And like they're like, oh yeah, well, Fox, this kind of person's in the Fox family or this person's in like the Fox network. So yeah, it would make sense that. And I'm like, how do you people even like know about this? And it's so funny because this is so embarrassing, like classic me being dramatic. When I was like getting cast for the show, like before getting cast, I remember thinking like, like I have a pop culture podcasting. I'm probably a little bit too like industry adjacent for them to cast me. The fact that I thought that, like, and then once I got there, like people in the cast were like legitimately radio hosts, talk show hosts, like actual like influencers or like actors with like real IMDb pages verified on Instagram. I was like, oh my God, I am probably the biggest normie here. Like it was, yeah, I thought like I don't know why I thought that. Like I don't know. It was so yeah, so then being with other people and like seeing like they made flashcards and like they were studying and they like could read between the lines and like think about like logistically like what celebrities on tour or what celebrities playing right now and who has a good relationship with Fox and like what, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, and so I go outside and I'm like crying because it was a lot of energy. And at this point, my throat was hurting from talking so much. And I was just feeling really far from home and I was feeling really overwhelmed. And like this studio thing that we were in was not cute. Like the bathrooms, we had like trailer bathrooms that were like air conditioned, but like they were not. Like the bathrooms were so gross and there were stink bugs everywhere. And I just felt like really alone and like very much like, what did I get myself into? Like, I don't think I want to do this anymore. And realizing like how hard the game show would be. Like I kind of thought like it would be self-explanatory or I thought like I would be really good at it. And I had a lot of fantasies about becoming best friends with Jamie Foxx, I'm not going to lie. So I was a little down bad on Friday and then we go into dress rehearsal. And this is the first, so we put on all our outfits and it was so fun seeing everyone's outfits. And then that like kind of cheered me up a little bit. And then we go into the studio and then like the real studio where we filmed it. And that was awesome. Like that was when like I immediately felt better once like I got to see the studio and like how the stage was set up and the sphere in the middle and like all our seats and everything. And then I was in a much better mood. So my original seat, like where I sat on the game show is not where I was originally supposed to sit. Like when we were in this dress rehearsal, I was on the far right quadrant on the top row all the way on the right, like could not be farther. And I was a little like, I was like, I don't really love my seat. Like it was honestly hard for me to see and I just felt kind of like far from the action. So that kind of like sucked a little bit, I'm not gonna lie. And like it literally felt, I said this a million times, but like it felt like summer camp and it felt like grade school, like seeing all my friends. I felt like they had such better seats than me. And I felt like they were all next to each other or they were all near people that we'd already met. And like all the people near me were people that like I hadn't met before this. And they were just like quieter and I felt like they didn't like me and I felt like they weren't chatting with me. But that ended up all being in my head. Like I was just being really dramatic because I felt left out for being so far away. And then so then we do a rehearsal with this guy who might have, now that I'm thinking about it, might have been the same guy when I had to do that screen test, the guy that reminded me of Abby's boyfriend from Broad City. So he was kind of in charge of like hyping us up and he was making sure all our mics were working. So he would like call on us and make sure that like we could be heard. And we had these little like lavalier mics. And he calls on me and I answer. I stand up and answer, but like my mic's not working. And I can't tell if it's working. I'm so like my heart's pounding. Like it just felt really intense being up there, even though we weren't recording or filming, but just like 100 something people in a room in a massive studio. And then all of a sudden, like he calls on me to talk. My mic's not working. And I I answer the question, but I also can't hear what he says, and I don't know if he heard what I said. So then I just kind of like say under my breath to the people next to me, I'm like, okay, should I just kill myself? That was when my mic turned on. Also my mic might have been on the whole time, and I just don't know if I was so blacked out from anxiety I couldn't hear it. And the whole studio like erupts in laughter. And then I was like, oh, I didn't realize like everyone heard that. I was kind of just saying that to the people next to me who already kind of hated me. And that albeit embarrassing, was kind of a good thing for me because it made me a lot of friends. Because a lot of people were like coming up to me afterwards being like, "Oh, you're the girl who wants to kill herself." And it was just kind of a funny like icebreaker, and it was a good way for me to meet people. And even like to this day, like people from WAF like will tag me in things where it's like jokes like should I kill myself like kinds of jokes, which I know, sorry, joking about suicide. I don't know. It just sorry, okay, sorry. So then and then Anthony comes out, and Anthony and Mama Doris come out. This is the first time that we see them, and then we do another like guessing round with them, and we see how like the clues are going to look on the sphere, and like we see how like Anthony is going to talk to us. And this like really brought morale up. Like I really enjoyed, like I thought Anthony was great like with like that first day that we were there, and it just I was like, you know what? Okay, even though it's not Jamie, I was a little bit bummed about that. I'm still like I'm excited to see how this works. And I liked Mama Doris's vibe, like she was funny. And I to prep for the show, I watched a couple episodes of Beat Shazam, which Jamie Foxx hosts with his daughter Corinne, and that's like who was originally supposed to host. And seeing like Anthony and Mama Doris's like very sarcastic banter with each other and then with the castmates, I was like, yeah, I honestly can't imagine like Jamie and Corinne hosting this. And Jamie and Corinne are awesome, but like very, very professional, like pretty straightforward, like I don't know. And then Anthony's a little more like dry and sarcastic and funny, which I so then after that we get out of all of our clothes and get back to the hotel, and Taylor and we got Wendy's and ate it in a hotel room. And that night really I feel like solidified our friendship. Just like there were a bunch of people like going out, and then this one was when I realized like okay, maybe I'm not the most energetic person in the world because people were going out to dinner after that night. And I said to Taylor, I was like, I cannot fathom having like more conversations with anyone like but you at this point. And she was like, let's just get Wendy's and eat it in one of our hotel rooms. And I was like, perfect. Okay, so the weekend was really fun. Like, so that was that Friday, that rehearsal day, and then we have all day Saturday to hang out. And it was really nice. So a bunch of us were hanging out at the pool. And at this point, I felt like it kind of felt like Love Island because it people kind of like coupled up and like formed cliques pretty quickly, which is normal. Like there's 125 people there. And I remember feeling like, okay, like I have my friends, like this is who I'm gonna hang out with for the next 2 weeks. Like, but there was one person that I was like kind of eyeing the whole time to be friends with, and like she was wearing this like pink dress, and like I someone told me her name was Duke. And someone told me, like, oh, you like Ariana Grande, you should talk to Duke. Like, she's met Ariana Grande 11 times. And I was like, what? And I remember, like, always seeing Duke from a distance, but we had never, like, been in the same small group. We'd never, like, really crossed paths. And looking back, like, oh my God, it was literally Saturday at this point. We got there Wednesday, but it felt like an eternity. Like, it felt like so much had happened. And I just remember thinking, like, Duke was like, I was like, I don't know. Like, she looks like she already has her friends. Like, I don't want to, like, bother her. Just so weird. And then on Saturday, a bunch of us are hanging at the pool, and my new friend, J Rob is like, oh, you have to meet Duke. So, like, we call Duke over, and then we get to talking in the pool, and we talk for like 2 hours immediately. And because, like, I have been manifesting an Ariana Grande friend for years. Like, obviously, like, I'm a diehard Ariana fan, and I've never had anyone that, like, really knows her lore like I do. I mean, I have friends that obviously like her, but I've always wanted a friend that, like, actually, like, knows about her and, like, cares about her. And then, like, Duke and I just immediately got to talking, but we also have, like, similar interests in, like, Madison Beer and Sabrina Carpenter and everything like that. And then we have a great time. And then that night, a bunch of us go out on the town in Atlanta. We had such a fun night. We started with a big group of us, like maybe 15. And then towards the end of the night, you know, people kind of fell off. And then like five of us just went out really hard, like Waffle House at 4 a.m. type thing. Like it was crazy. So we had such a fun night. And then that Sunday was pretty chill. And then we were getting ready for filming on Monday. So first day of filming is Monday. And It was like I was really excited. It was fun. We were filming like one episode Monday, one episode Tuesday, one episode Wednesday, or one episode Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And we film an episode, like it was so fun. And I'm sorry, but I can't really remember the order of everything. But very early on when we filmed, one morning, like before filming, it was, I remember waking, okay, I should have mentioned this earlier, but to prep for We Are a Family, not, I had like a week's notice to like prep. I was thinking, I was like, okay, well, I should get a book to read on the plane just to like have something. Like, I obviously want to have like a book while I'm there or like a, during downtime and whatever. Like, I should just, read a book. And I was like, I should honestly read a celebrity memoir. And I was in between Jamie Foxx's memoir and Jessica Simpson's. Jessica Simpson's memoir has been something that like I'd been told for years was a really good celebrity memoir. And like, I just kept hearing it around, like, Jessica Simpson's memoir is the best. And I end up deciding on reading Jessica Simpson's. Thank God I did. And was listening to it and like really enjoying it. Like I really like Jessica Simpson's memoir. And I was still kind of like listening to it at night and stuff. And then one morning before filming, I remember thinking I should look up just to make sure I know every member of NSYNC and Backstreet Boys. Because I was also at the part in Jessica Simpson's memoir where she was talking about NSYNC. And I was like, let me just like refresh my memory, make sure I know all the members of it. So I do that quickly, get ready, turn in my phone. And we would take like this big shuttle. We would have to turn in our phones in a hotel room, like where all the producers were. We'd turn it in, we would each have like a number, and we'd have to like check in with the producers, make sure we knew we were there, and then like go wait downstairs for the buses. And we'd arrive to the studio in like these big coach buses. And we'd have to like check in with like producers and their clipboards. And like Taylor and I would be like, okay, save me a seat. Literally summer camp. And then we'd ride to the studio. I don't even know where it was, but it was not Tyler Perry's studio. I do know that. And then we'd get into the studio and we'd have to get into our wardrobe because wardrobe like kept our outfits there. So we would all like get into costume. It would take so long because like 100 people having to change into their wardrobe. We'd have to come with hair and makeup ready and then get like approved by hair and makeup to make sure we looked good. And then like who knows how long later, like 2 hours later, maybe we'd get into the studio. And then one of the episodes, one of the celebrities was Joey Fatone from NSYNC. And when I realized who he was, I was freaking out. I was like, thank fucking God that I looked that up this morning and that I knew. So then Anthony calls on me for that one. So like kind of how it works, like the main meat of the show is like Anthony, like the clues will come up and then we have an iPad on our desk and we type into our iPad and like submit who we think it is. And then it goes up to production, like all the British people, and Anthony will call on us to like see who we picked because we do a couple rounds of like guesses, like see what the audience picks. And then Anthony calls on me for Joey Fatone. And I was like, oh, Anthony, like I guessed Joey Fatone. And he was like, why'd you guess Joey Fatone? I said, well, I'm in the middle of reading Jessica Simpson's memoir. And he like bursts out laughing, like falls over belly laughing. And I'm standing there and I'm like, I don't know why that's funny. Like, it's a really good book. And he was just like, Lily, like, that's the funniest thing, or something like that. He like could not control himself. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, I don't know, like, why that's so funny. Because, like, to me, like, Jessica Simpson, like pop culture icon, like one of the best memoirs in the last few years. Like, why wouldn't I read her memoir? But I guess if you're not like well versed in like celebrity memoir culture, you would be like, why would you read hers? But like, it was true. Like, I really had just, like, I was reading her memoir. And then so that was another thing that I'm really glad that happened early on in the show because people remembered me for that too. So at this point there was still like tons of cast members that I hadn't met yet, and they would come up to me being like, "Oh, you're the Jessica Simpson girl." So that became my new thing. Thank God like I beat the suicide allegations and then I was just the Jessica Simpson girl because that's way more positive. So, and that's why I have Jessica up here, her Rolling Stone cover. And to this day, like people from the cast will always send me like Jessica Simpson stuff and be like, "Oh yeah, you're obsessed with Jessica Simpson, are you?" Which is funny because like I'm really not. Like I always liked her. I always thought she was great, but I honestly was always more of an Ashley Simpson girl. Like I loved Ashley. I've never in my life been like obsessed with Jessica Simpson, but like now I feel like I have this like special bond with her. So like obviously I got this copy framed. And then I'm also glad that happened early on in the show because it like Anthony remembered me because of that. And so sometimes like when he'd call on me, he'd be like, "Okay, Jessica Simpson, what'd you pick?" Like it was so funny. A lot of those times like did not end up airing. Like my big Jessica Simpson moment did not air, which is fine. But like it was a good way for Anthony to like remember me and like also didn't realize like how important celebrity memoirs were to me before this. Like I've always liked celebrity memoirs, but like I'm really glad that I read a lot of them. So that was a fun one. And then like we kept filming and then I was like working a little bit in between like the Tuesdays and Thursdays I'd work. And then we would do the episodes and then that's when I kind of like picked up on the like how the show works and like I realized that there's playing the game, like looking at the clues and like really thinking about it and like trying to be star player and like answering as quick as possible. But then I also realized like there's playing the game. Like I knew that I would never be star player. I honestly didn't ever want to be star player because it was just so much pressure. Like watching people that were star player like go up, I would be projectile vomiting if I were star. Like I could not do. I was like, I can't be star player. I never will. Because like the celebrities that were on the show, I do think I had a disadvantage being so young, but like I don't know sports very well and I don't know like a lot of 80s and some 90s stuff that I don't really know too. So like for each three celebrities that were on every episode, like I would know two of the three. And then of those two, the odds that I like guessed correctly were like 50%. Like I wasn't batting that great, guys. And then so that's when I realized I was like, okay, you know what? Like I'm here for fun. Like I'm not gonna walk away with like life-changing money, but like I also realized a lot of the game was like getting like saying something to Anthony and like having like a fun moment with Anthony. So I was very fortunate to have established that like Jessica Simpson thing very early on with Anthony. So he knew that I would like say something funny and I never tried to like be stupid or I never tried to like do anything that was like say something just to like say something ridiculous and like cause a ruckus. Like if I was going to say something like funny, I would always have like something to pin it to. And honestly, like for the celebrity clues, like sometimes like you just have no fucking idea. Like truly no idea. And it's harder to guess like C-list or like niche celebrities than it is to like guest A-list celebrities. So there were some times where like there would be some clues that were on the screen and I didn't know who it was, but like the only like celebrity name that could come to my mind was like Pete Davidson, even though like I knew Pete Davidson wasn't going to be on the show, but like the only thing I could think of was Pete Davidson because like he's an A-lister, so he's just on my brain immediately. It's hard to guess those like niche celebrities. And people were studying, and then I also kind of realized like a pattern. I was like, oh, so like a lot of these celebrities like have a Fox show or like they were on Masked Singer and people were talking about that. People were saying like, oh, yeah, like I'm studying and like every celebrity that was on Masked Singer or like I can see your voice. And I just like I never studied. Like even when we were filming and like you could have if you wanted to. Like we would get our phones back at the hotel, but like I never did. I just because like every time the opportunity would arise, I got invited to some study groups like in the beginning, and then people realized I was a fucking idiot. Um, like, and then I felt like law school. But I never wanted to, and like after filming, I was so ungodly tired that I could like have a glass of wine with Taylor and debrief the night, or I could like go up and study like who was on Masked Singer, and I was like, you know what? I'm just here for fun. I'm not trying to be star player. Like I do not it's just not going to happen. So, Friday, we finished that episode and then following weekend, I think we go out again. I don't remember exactly what we do again. But yeah, we went out to East Atlanta. That was really fun. And then Sunday, you know, vibes were kind of like, I remember feeling very like low on that following Sunday. I think I was anxious for the week coming up because that week we would be filming 2 episodes a day. And at this point I realized like how much went into one episode. One episode would take like 5 hours sometimes to film. And then it was like that, and then also, but like we'd be there 2 hours before. So like our call times were at 8 usually, and then it'd take however like 30 minutes to get there, and then 30 minutes for everyone to get into wardrobe, and then sometimes like it'd be another hour, hour and a half until we'd like get into studio, and there's no sunlight. The bathrooms were terrible, and like, and then like when that Sunday, I kind of had Sunday scaries, honestly. Like we went out kind of hard the night before, and I had Sunday scaries, and I was like anxious about filming 2 episodes a day. And then Monday, we get to studio, we get in our wardrobe, and then they tell us like we're not going to be filming an episode today. I'm like, what? And then we just film pickups. Okay, pickups are like retroactively filming reactions. This was literally the worst thing in the world. So like we spent like 2 or 3 hours that one Monday just like filming us clapping and cheering, and they were so specific. Sometimes it'd be like, okay, like clap if you were born through like January through June, clap and pretend like you got it right. If you were born like July through December, pretend like you got it wrong, but you're still excited to see the person. And then it'd be like so specific, and it would go on so long. The producers were like, I need you guys to dial it up to 1,000,000. And then it just got kind of funny. Like we would kind of start like goofing around. Like CJ, the guy next to me, we would do these like ridiculous bits where we would like jump up and down and like go crazy because we were kind of like delirious at a certain point too. I mean, there were a few celebrities that came out that I was like, whoa, this is cool. And I would try my best like when we were filming to like react, but it was hard. I don't know, because I was like trying to like look at the clues. So that was Monday, and then we don't film on Tuesday, and then they tell us that we're going to be filming 2 episodes Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And is kind of like low morale at this point because we were filming, like we all came in Monday like expecting to film 2 episodes. Like we were there, we were ready. We just kind of had a lot of downtime between like the weekend and then that Monday, and then finding out we have another off day. Like even though I was kind of like nervous to film, like I was ready because when I was just in the hotel, I was just like kind of getting anxious. And I really didn't like talking about gameplay with people. It kind of like, it like gave me more anxiety to hear other people talking about what they got right, what they got wrong, and how they studied. Like I was like, can't we just like giggle, you know? Um, so then I had this idea a few days before to have a talent show because as I was talking to people, I realized like how like one of the things for filming, or like one of the things we had to come prepared with, was like our party trick. And I obviously didn't have one because I'm lame and I don't have any talents, but like a lot of people had like really cool ones, and a lot of people were like singers and dancers and comedians and just like interesting people. And I was like, I want to see what everyone can do. So then Tuesday, Taylor and our friends and Tish and I were like, let's have a talent show. Let's host a talent show and like bring up morale. So Tuesday night, we decide to have a talent show in the conference room of our lobby. And I had like some people sign up with me ahead of time. I had about like 10 people, and Tish and I hosted, and then Taylor and our other friend Josh did AV. And we like kind of went really hard because we were off on Tuesday. I was like working kind of, but like my work was really, this was another thing. Like work was at like a great point to not be in the office. Like, so my work was pretty slow anyway. So Taylor and I just went like balls to the wall setting up for this talent show. We had a banner, we had costumes, and as we were setting up for the talent show, we get a text or an email from casting that says, we have really big 3 days ahead of us. We're filming 2 episodes every day for 3 days. Call time tomorrow is 6 a.m. And then that's when everyone started like freaking out about, and it was 5 when they emailed us that. And I mean, looking back, like 6 a.m., it doesn't sound that bad, but like when you factor in like doing your hair and makeup and like getting camera ready, like a lot of people would wake up like hours before call time to get ready. Like 6 a.m. is early. And then I was like, oh no, like my talent show, no one's going to want to come. And so like I go out to the pool where people are hanging out and I'm like ask people, I'm like, we're still gonna do the talent show. Like I promise like it'll be out by 8. Like we'll have a hard stop at 8. So then we're getting ready for the talent show, like people kind of start filing in and it got packed. It was crazy. Like everyone from the game show was there. It was like 70 people were there, plus like random people in the hotel that were just staying there. Like I had someone ask me like, "Hey, like I'm not a part of whatever you guys are doing, but can I come to the show?" And I'm like, "Sure, I guess." And when we started the talent show and I realized how many people were there, like it was standing room only. I think there was like 80 people there, something ridiculous like that. I was like, wow, like this was really cool. And I opened and I wrote some like jokes for me and Santisha to like introduce everyone. And I opened the talent show and it was so fun. It was like really just kind of surreal and like everyone was laughing and smiling so much and like it was so cool to see people that we gotten to know over the last week or so like actually like, do their talent. And it was so fun. Like we had singers and like stand up and original songs and like a poem. And Taylor and Josh doing AV was so funny because they were both wearing headsets and they put spoons under their headsets to make it look like a microphone because we were like kind of making fun of like what the producers look like. And it was just really fun. And then at the end we did vote on like the winners and so we crowned like our top 3 winners and it was just a really really good night. And like afterwards people were like telling me how just how good it was and like how necessary it was because morale was low. And I feel like I know it was for me and like my friends, but I feel like for everyone having like it was almost like too much downtime like with not filming on Monday and that like in the like we I don't know, it just kind of started to feel like competitive vibes and like seeing like how the show was working and like how like who was making money and who wasn't. It just kind of like feel like it lost its like summer camp vibes. And it just felt like we were like cabin fever a little, no pun intended. And like afterwards, like at the talent show, people just telling me like this really reinvigorated me and that it really invigorated me too. And like Adam S, who won, he was the star player in the first episode at the talent show. He did impressions of everyone and it was so unbelievably funny. Like he did impressions of everyone in the cast, or not everyone, but like a couple people in the cast, and he won the talent show and that was really fun. And he told me afterwards, sorry Adam if I'm outing you, but he said like he hadn't done stand up in a really really long time and like kind of I don't know if he said like gave up on it, but just said he hadn't done it in a long time. And the talent show like really invigorated in him that like he was good and he was amazing. And then like he went on to be like star player too and like win the most money. So that was cool. So then like that set us up for like, the next few days, and the next few days were draining. And then we get, on Wednesday, we get to studio and we get in our wardrobe and then there's an announcement from like the head producer. And that's, I'm always like, oh God, like every time he would talk, I'm always like, oh God, like it's going to be some news. And he was like, we have a guest host today for these 2 episodes. And I'm like, what? And it was Joel McHale. And I was like jumping up and down screaming. Like I was so excited because I really loved Community and I just watched Joel McHale on The Bear. And I was like totally gagged and like excited for Joel McHale. And that like also like brought up my vibes too, just like seeing Joel. Joel hosted 2 episodes and he was incredible. He was amazing. Like I am the #1 Joel McHale fan now. Like first of all, he was so hot, so tall. Like he just had really good energy, like very positive energy. And we could like read the teleprompters like on the sides that like he was reading. And there were like pre-written jokes for him, like introducing jokes, like hosting jokes. And he would do like 10 different takes, like improvising a different one. And it was so cool to watch like him just on the spot, like come up with his own jokes, like off the top of his head. And when he would do a lot of takes and like kind of took a while, but I did not mind at all just like watching him come up with different things to say. I did get to interact with him a few times, but it never made to air, which was so sad. He called on me one time and he was like, okay, Lily, who just looks like she walked off the set of Yellowstone. He said that one time. Another time he asked me what my strategy was, and I said I love celebrity memoirs, and he asked me who my favorite was, and I said Molly Shannon's. So that was cool. He was awesome, like totally and truly like unbelievable. And like his banter with Mama Doris, like Anthony's mom was so funny. I just like am the biggest Joel McHale fan now. Um, and then the next few episodes, like it was hard. Like call times were at 8 a.m. Like we'd film 2 episodes. Each episode would take like 5 hours. Like we usually didn't get back to the hotel till like 1, like midnight or 1, and have to do it again the next morning. So it was really, really intense. Got like very creative during downtimes. Like I remember like Taylor got really close with this guy in the cast named Paris, who is in the original cast of Willy Wonka. And they would play like gin rummy every day during downtime because there was a lot of downtime, like a lot. And I don't know what I would do. Like I would get so like manic sometimes. I'd sit by myself sometimes. I would just like talk to other people. It was almost like I couldn't bring myself to play games. It was like I had to keep talking. Like I couldn't shut the fuck up. Um, and then every night after filming, like Taylor and I would usually go back into one of our rooms and just like debrief the day and just talk about it. And then Thursday night, so the night before the last night, Taylor and I are talking, and like she hadn't been called on like as much as I was. I was kind of called on a lot. I don't know. But she was kind of saying like she wanted this moment, and she felt like she never really had like a great moment with Anthony, or like she never really had like, I don't know. She just said that she, and like I understood what she meant. She was like, I just want like some sort of like on air, this is why I came here, like this is my like kind of moment. And I was like, yeah, like I totally know what you mean, like I get it, like I understand that too. And I was thinking to myself, like I was on a really bad losing streak for that whole second week. Like I could not, I don't know what, I think the game was really mental, a lot of it, and like your brain goes to like crazy places like when you're playing this game. Like I feel like it's obviously easier to like sit at home and play, but like when you're standing up there and like timers counting down and there's a song going on and you're like listening to the song but looking at the clues, and your brain is just like filing through like different information, and you're like thinking in your head like, well, are they touring right now, like are they filming something right now, like are they playing something? And I was doing so bad, and like I wasn't like, I was kind of on a streak where like I was just doing really bad, and like I was getting called on, but I felt like everything that I was saying was like just wasn't really interesting or wasn't really funny. And with my like Jessica Simpson charade, I felt like I kind of owed it to myself and like to Anthony, that like when I kind of made a reputation for myself. Um, so I felt like this kind of like, okay, well, if I get called on, like they're expecting me to say something funny. And like, because I said something funny with Jessica Simpson, like they're giving me these opportunities to get called on because they want me to say something funny. And like, I wasn't saying anything funny and it was stressing me out. Um, and then also, I totally forgot to mention this, but before we filmed the first episode, my seat did get moved. So remember how I had that like kind of not great seat? Well, turns out they switched me and Duke. So sorry, Duke. And then I got moved to a better seat. Sorry. So it was like the night before the last episode, or maybe it was the night before the second to last. It was like the very end of filming, and Taylor like wanted her big moment, and I wanted kind of like a redemption arc, like to just have another funny moment. Then we were talking to Duke too, and Duke wasn't winning like any money too. I was doing okay money wise because I got Dwight Howard, which was worth $2,500. And like not a lot of people got that one because that was early on in filming. The order that the episodes aired were not the order that we filmed them in. And I got Dwight Howard because it was like it was the first or second episode that we filmed. And I think that a lot of people were like still trying to get star player. So people were locking in their answers really early. And with the clues, like they were kind of tricking us. Like they were, for that one, I remember they would trick us for a lot of them. Like I think they were making us think it was like Magic Johnson. And so a lot of people locked in Magic Johnson earlier because like that's how it was looking, and like people wanted to be star player. And I from the beginning was like, I do not care about star player. I'm not going to try to be star player. I just want to like get a correct answer and like try to win some money. And I waited and waited and waited and waited until the very, very, very last clue. And then it was an obvious one that it was Dwight Howard. And I locked in Dwight Howard and I got the $2,500 because not a lot of people got it. And then I think once we kept like doing the show, a lot of people realized like, okay, like don't lock it in unless you are 100% sure, like there could be a trick. So I was doing decent money wise, but Duke had not gotten a lot of money. Taylor wanted her big moment. Like I wanted a fun moment too to end it on. And then our friend Nick, like our friend Nick, who we also became really close with, like he wanted a good moment too. So we go into like the last day, or maybe it's the second to last day, and there's, we're like in between takes for like in between round one and round two. And I knew that like this artist was going to be a rock and roll star. And by the first three clues, like I didn't know who it was. And like I'm pretty good with classic rock for like someone my age. And I didn't know who it was. And I was kind of like, whatever. And I look over behind me and I see Taylor's like bawling, crying, like sobbing, sobbing, sobbing. And like I go over to her. I'm like, what's wrong? She's like, I know who it is. And I'm totally freaking out. I was like, oh my God, I have like chills right now talking about it. And so she's like, I'm okay. Like, I can't believe this is the person. Like, I am like beside myself. Like, I'm totally freaking out. Like, this is like a dream come true for me. So then I go back to my seat and we start doing like the next batch of clues. Like, I still don't know who this person is, even by the last clue. So I'm like, whatever. And they do the big reveal and it's revealed to be Peter Frampton. And then like once I heard the name, I was like, oh yeah, like I know who that is. And Peter was incredible. And like they like afterwards when they reveal a celebrity, like Anthony will call on a few people who like got it right. And especially if it's like an emotional one. And Peter was an emotional one. Like tons of people were crying. So he calls on Taylor and like Taylor is just so like elegantly like such a good speaker and like so good at talking, even when she's like crying. And so she said to Peter, like, I love you so much. Like, my mom introduced me to you, and like, my mom loves your music. Like, you mean everything to me and my mom. And like, something really cute like that. And he just said, like, please tell your mom I say hi. And then a couple other people like had really good interactions with him too. Rita, who I love, she was on Literally Heinous. She said to him, like, you defined my childhood. I love you. Like, I collect guitar picks. It would mean the world to me if I could have yours. Like, I promise I won't sell it. And he like threw his guitar pick at hers. And then Sam, our other really good friend, like she was crying, just saying like how much he meant to her family. And it was like a really special episode. And like in that moment, like seeing Taylor, who like got this like amazing moment with like her rock idol and like a great on-screen moment, and like knowing that like she got what she wanted, like I was like, I'm totally fine with whatever happens next. And then, and I might be telling this a little bit out of order because I can't really remember, but then another celebrity comes out and it's like a country singer. The clues are country. And I'm like, okay, like I know country, I still can't get it. And then the clues for the next one reveal, I still don't know who it is. And then it's revealed to be Lauren Elena, who's like a new up and coming country star who was on American Idol. I didn't know who she was. No, either 4 or 7 people got it right. I think it was 7 people out of 100 got this right, which was crazy because the grand prize was like $4,000 because you split the prize money with like everyone that gets it right. So because only 7 people got it, like they all got $4,000. I look over, Duke is jumping up and down and cheering, and like Duke got the money, like got the $4,000. And I was so happy for Duke because like Duke is such a like pop culture, like, or a pop music girly. Like Duke like can tell you everything about every current pop star right now. And a lot of the celebrities on here were like a couple decades older or like TV actors or like sports. So like I didn't know a lot of them. Duke didn't know a lot of them. But to see Duke like get this one that was really hard that like nobody else got, and like Duke got some time with Anthony on it. And so I was like so happy. I was like, oh my God, like thank God, like two of my best friends from the game show, they both got like the thing that they wanted that we just talked about. And then another celebrity comes out, we do another reveal, and this one I actually did get for once. It was Andy Grammer. And I look over at Nick and like he's in tears and he just like loves Andy Grammer because Andy is like a singer-songwriter. Nick is a singer-songwriter. Nick has this amazing moment with Andy, and Andy comes through the audience and like gives Nick a huge hug. And I was like, wow, okay. I feel like all my homies got like the perfect like kiss end from We Are Family. And a little like side note, Taylor and I like made this bit kind of one night when we were looking at the moon, and we named the moon Stella Luna because it was, like when you look at the moon and sometimes the moon's like looking really crazy, like orange and low, and we are like, oh, look at the moon, like what's her like, what's she like, what's her personality? And we named her Stella Luna, and then like the whole time through the rest of the show we would refer to like anything like good or anything like really fortuitous as like a wink from Stella Luna. And that is like the encapsulation of a wink from Stella Luna. Just like, working really hard at something and just like trying your best and like putting your all in and just like kindly asking the universe for something, and then you get like a wink from Stella Luna. So that was really exciting. So I did get one small wink from Stella Luna. It's time to talk about Suge Knight. So the very last episode that we filmed, the last day, it was probably like midnight at this point on Friday. Like people had flights home Saturday morning. We were still filming the last episode. So at this point, I think I got called on maybe like one time that episode, or maybe the episode before that. And like, I hit my marks. Like I met expectations. Like I said something normal. And I remember thinking like, that's probably the last time I get called on for that show. And I was a little bummed because I wanted like another funny moment, or like I wanted something like fun to say, but like, you know what? I said what I needed to say. I had a lot of great moments with Anthony. My friends just had these like incredible moments over the last couple of days that I was happy for them. And I was like, you know what? Let's just finish out strong and like see what happens. So the last episode, the last clue. So this is the star player round. I'm not even playing in this round, but like the rest of the audience like still plays, even though like it doesn't count for our money. It just counts for the person that's star player. So the clues start rolling. Like the person comes, she's beautiful and like really good singer, and she does the duet, star player round. It's like 1 a.m. And I'm thinking, so let me like back you up a little bit. So on a work call, like a couple days before, I was on a call and like one of my bosses brought up Suge Knight. I don't even remember like what we were talking about, but like Suge Knight came up in conversation. And I had like kind of knew who Suge Knight, like I knew the name. I knew that he was like a disgraced rapper, but I didn't know like what exactly for. I didn't really know like exactly who he was. And I kind of just like forgot about it. And then once I realized that like kind of a core part of the game, like there's playing the game and then there's also playing the game. And like playing the game is like, maybe you don't know who it is exactly, but like you have a funny answer that like Anthony will like, or you can say something that'll kind of like generate this response. Because at the end of the day, like it is a game show, like the producers want entertaining answers. And it would be boring if everyone just guessed like normal things all the time. So I'd see people kind of guess like silly answers that like they knew wouldn't be there. And even I guessed a couple silly answers because like I said earlier, sometimes like when you truly and genuinely don't know, like you have to say like the first name that comes to your mind. There's one time where like one time I was down to the last second and I had zero, like my mind was blank. And the only thing that came to my mind was Muhammad Ali, who like obviously I knew was dead. But it's like when you're playing the game and you have 1 second left and you can't think of anything, you're just kind of like, I don't know. So I realized that like that was kind of the game. And I was thinking, I was like, oh, maybe like Suge Knight would be a funny answer one time. But like I was never going to say it if like I had money on the line, or like if there was no reason for me to think that. So I kind of forgot about that because throughout the weeks I'd been kind of like thinking of like, oh, what would be like funny celebrity answers? Because that's like where your mind goes, or like what would be, who could be on this show. So the last clue, last celebrity, I'm delirious. Everyone is like delirious at this point. Like we're zombies. And we had just filmed like, this is the 6th episode we filmed in 3 days. And the clues start rolling. I'm like, I'm not even paying attention. I'm not even thinking. Like, I'm not trying at this point. Like, I don't care. And then all of a sudden, a knight appears on the screen, like a knight in armor. And I'm like, okay, well, now's my chance. So I type in Suge Knight, and I didn't think I would get called on at all because they didn't really call on that many people during the star player round. Like they would call on maybe like two people because the focus is on the star player and like making sure that they got it right and like walking through their thought processes. So I didn't think I would be one of the like two or three people that would get called on for the star player round. And like when I submit it in the iPad, it goes up to the producers. And I'm looking at like these middle-aged British people, and I'm like, I doubt they even know who Suge Knight is. And I'm just like, whatever. So I don't think I'm gonna get called on. And then I hear Anthony's like, oh boy, here we go. And as soon as he says that, I'm like, oh my God, it's going to be me. So then he calls him and he's like, Lily, who'd you pick? And then that's when I was like, okay, I'm going to have to commit to the bit. I am a performer at heart. So I was like, Anthony, I said Suge Knight. And it was like, it was crazy. Like, people were like gasping and laughing. I think that like not everyone like knew who he was, but like the people that knew. So like CJ, the guy next to me, had the funniest reaction ever. And Anthony's like, you do know he'd have to come out of the sphere, right? And I was like, oh, is he dead? I didn't know he if he was dead. I like pretty sure he was alive. Like I didn't really know a ton about him, but I was like, okay, like I'm gonna have to commit to the bit. And then we had this like whole moment. It was so funny and like it was just silly and like so stupid. And afterwards, like people were coming up to me just saying like that it was really funny and it like kind of lifted morale, at least for me. Like it lifted my morale because then at least I'm like, okay, well, at least I ended on like a banger with Anthony. And then we like got out of costume and then it was like the last night. And the feeling of the last night was literally like it felt like the last night of camp. So like at the summer camp that I went to for 11 years, the last night of camp was always like just this crazy euphoric feeling of like, we're all going home tomorrow, like let's have fun and that was like how it felt. So we all get back to the hotel and we have this big party. People like had alcohol that they just bought throughout their trip and we had like an open bar basically in the lobby of the hotel. Oh my God, the hotel staff wanted to murder us. And we have like an open bar basically and everyone's drinking and having fun. And it was just like truly one of the best nights ever. And at this point, like kind of towards the end of the show, I feel like I'm had like a resurgence in making friends because morale got really low for me in the second week and I just kind of got like tired of talking to the same people that like it really prompted me to like meet new people. And I made so many more friends at WAF on the last couple days. And so I was just hanging out with them and it like and being really sad. I think that one of like my biggest takeaways from the game show is like not assuming who you will and won't be friends with. So like when you get there, you're faced with 100 people. Cliques naturally start forming and like people kind of pair off. And like you gravitate towards the people that like dress like you and look your age and like talk like you. But there's so like I made so many more friends of people that like I didn't talk to in the beginning because I thought that like, oh, they're so much older than me or like they're cooler than me or I don't think they're gonna like me or they're gonna think I'm annoying. And then those people were like the best and like why didn't we talk like the whole time? And so just hanging out with them and I stayed up in the hotel until like 6:30 in the morning. Like we were all hanging out. There's a big party of us and then a bunch of people flew home like early in the morning. Like while I was still hanging out drinking, like people had their suitcases and were bringing them down. Um, but my family was in Atlanta, so I asked the producers if I could just change my flight to the following Sunday and pay the change difference so I can spend the night with my family. And luckily they said yes. That last night was incredible. It was like one of the best nights of my life. And I went to bed at like 6:30, woke up at like 10:30 and was just like hit with like, oh my God, it's over. And I'm packing my bags, listening to Peter Frampton because now Peter Frampton means everything to me, just like bawling, crying in my hotel room. And I drive to my mom's because I'd had my brother's car at that point. and I drive to my mom's, like a 40-minute drive. I was so down bad. So down bad. I was on Spotify listening to graduation playlists, like those like sad songs. Like I was pointedly listening to music that would make me sad. Like the whole 40-minute drive to my mom's, like I'm just inconsolable in tears. And like I get to my mom's and I'm delirious at this point. I'd had like 3 hours of sleep maybe, and I'm just processing like it's like I never even had time to think, like especially those last few days we were just like filming, filming, filming. And it was incredible. Like it was, yeah. I don't really have any other words for it. I don't really know how to describe the feeling, but like just ending on such a good note and like making so many good friends and like the wink from Stella Luna, like Taylor getting her moment, Duke getting her moment, Nick, and then like my Suge Knight thing, even though like it was kind of stupid, but like I was happy to like provide some kind of I was happy to be comedic relief, even if like I'm at the butt, like I don't care, like it was funny. Um, and yeah, so like that was really it. Like that was my WAF experience. And then like after that, we all go home and have this big WhatsApp and we're talking all the time and people like we don't know when it was gonna air. And then like pretty soon after, so like November 11th weekend is when we get the first trailer. And like I had no idea it was coming. Like I don't remember who saw it first, but like production does not email us like, hey guys, we're going with this air date. Like we didn't know anything. So like then that was really exciting because in November, that was when I was like able to tell people. And I was like, thank fucking God, because it was impossible for me not to talk about it. Like, because the lawyer scared me so much. Like, they really scared me. Like, I wasn't talking about it to anyone, but like, once the commercial came out and like people posted it on their social media, and then I was like, oh, thank God I can talk about it. And I did not post it right away. So I could have announced this like November 11th, but I chose not to because I was I wanted to be in a commercial before I announced it because I felt weird like announcing something that I wasn't in. Like, hey, I'm in the show, like believe it or not. And I like sent it to like the homies, like sent it to them, like sent it to my family, but like I wasn't gonna publicly announce it on social media unless I was like in a commercial. So then I mean, I didn't have to wait like that long because Fox was putting out like different cuts of the commercial like every week. And this was exciting because it's also like football season. So like watching football games on Fox, like people were like, "Oh my God, like new commercial just aired," or like this person's on a commercial now. Because like certain people would be on it, and like some sound bites would keep getting used over and over and over. But then they would bring like new people on it, so it was always really exciting to see like what the next commercial was. And like I wasn't on it. Like maybe like a month and a half goes by, and like then like and we have a premiere date at this point. The premiere is January 3rd, and now it's like December. I moved into New York. And then a commercial comes out. My dad was the first to call me, actually. Like, my dad was like, oh my God, like, you're on it. And then I was like, okay, whew. So then I, like, once I was on a commercial, then, like, I posted it and I got a lot of really good reactions. And it was also, like, nice to post and just say, like, it'll be on in 3 weeks. I hate when, like, people announce something that's, like, 2 months. But yeah, so we did that and I posted it. And then January 3rd, the premiere day, Taylor was in town for New Year's and we had the time of our lives, went absolutely feral, and she stayed for the premiere. My dad and brother also flew in for the premiere. Like originally my dad wanted me to come home to watch with the family, and like I wanted to too, but like there was a big New York cast and like a bunch of people were going to be here, so I just asked him to come up. So Philip, one of the cast members, Shaka Convict, is a drag queen in Hell's Kitchen and was able to reserve like the whole bar for like a screening of the premiere. I treated this event like it was my Met Gala. So Taylor and I got like all dolled up, like new outfits, and we met up with everyone at like a bar in Hell's Kitchen. Like my dad was there and it was so fun, like introducing everyone to my dad and brother, and like Jack was there. And then we go to the premiere just at this bar. It was called Hardware, and they have this like huge screen in the back. Like it was perfect. Like shout out Philip, shout out Shaka Convict. Like this premiere was awesome. Like it was everything I could have wanted. Like watching it in this big, like there was a disco ball and there was like benches and the big fat production screen. and like the bartenders would come around, and like the energy in that room, like watching it come on, like I can't even put that into words. Like whenever, because there was about 15 of us there from the cast and one producer, whenever like someone that was with us like got like a moment on screen, we would all be like screaming and like hugging them, and like I couldn't even process what was going on. And for this episode, so we were able to like glean what episode they were airing based on like the thumbnail. And this episode that they were airing, I was like, oh, I don't think I'm on it, because it wasn't the first one that we filmed. And like, I kind of lost track, like, which episodes I spoke in or not. And also, like, even if you speak on an episode does not mean that they're going to like air that clip. And I was pretty sure that that I wasn't called on for this one. So I was a little like disappointed going into the episode. And because I knew that like most people that I knew would watch the first one, and like people only like watch the first episode of things usually. And I was a little disappointed. Like my dad flew in for it, and I told him, I was like, I don't think I'm going to be on it. So like, don't get your hopes up. And then we like do the episode, and then like Taylor gets called on, and it was so exciting because she was there. And so we were like jumping up and down for Taylor. And then like Nick gets called on, and he was there, so we were like jumping up and down for Nick and like so excited. And then I got called on, and I was like, oh my god, because I truly didn't remember speaking in that episode. And that was just another wink from Stella Luna. Like me, Taylor, Nick, like the homies, we were all in New York together, we all had speaking moments on the first episode. It was so fun, like so fun. And like watching the show, like people were texting me, and I was just really really happy that I was on that first episode, because like if I was going to be like speaking on any episode, like I'm glad it was the first. And then after that we go out to another bar, and it's like 1:30 at this point. I had work the next day, and I was like, I think tonight should end here. So I call an Uber home, and like I'm looking out at the New York skyline. Like I just moved here a month ago, and like I was on a TV show that had a premiere. Like what? And with like my new best friends, and like my dad came, and just people texting me about like watching the show and seeing me on TV, and like hearing from people that I hadn't heard from. And I was just like, wow, like this is really surreal. And it was awesome. Like I woke up the next morning, and I was like, is this how it feels to win an Oscar? Because if that was how I was feeling after like one speaking line on a cable game show, I don't know how people that win Oscars feel. It was awesome. And then the next few weeks, just being able to watch every episode and relive every episode was so fun. And yeah, like it's been 7 months since I got home, and like I am just super grateful for the experience. And like it truly was just so fun, like seeing how like a production works, and like how a TV show works, and getting to talk to the producers. Um, yeah, it was incredible. And that's all I have to say. So I hope this answers everyone's questions about it.